We're moving into a very different kind of energy with this Wednesday's new moon in the sign of playful Leo. It's highly significant in a couple of ways. First of all, our last lunar cycle was started on an eclipse and has had a lot of intensity and even conflict associated with it. Now in Leo, this next month-long lunar cycle will have the quality of, well, take a vacation for one. You'll feel like playing and being very, very creative. Yet along with it, there is a challenge from the god of lightning saying, how about doing this in a very unique, to you, that is, a unique way? Let's try something a little more exotic and reaching into territories that we would have previously considered foreign to us, but broadens our perspective as we're reaching out, and with a lot of support from Leo, to that global village in which we come to that spiritual place of mutuality with all other living beings. So welcome. This is your Astrology Weather Forecast for the week of July 29th to August the 4th, 2019. And this Wednesday is significant in another way. A lot of you will have a deep exhale as I tell you that Mercury will be turning direct also on that same day as the new moon. Now, when Mercury turns direct, what is really happening from our perspective here on Earth is that he is sitting still in that outer elliptic of his orbit. So the focus is very intense at the time he's turning either direct or retrograde. And in this case, he's turning direct to face powerful Pluto at that very same moment during this new moon. And what that brings up for us is very likely some internal conflict, because you'll see around you, I don't think you will be the perpetrator, but you'll see around you someone who is trying to convince you of the truth of something that you know is, you don't accept it. You know it's not acceptable to you. So this can bring up some smoldering conflict that you've had buried until now. In essence, you can watch for just sort of a power play. Just don't let yourself get talked into doing something that you know you don't want to do. So for all of us, there may be a new wave of propaganda, of news that it truly is fake, but it will also get us to the bottom line of some things that have been hidden, some secret things. These can be things in your work, your career, or at home that have been brewing and perhaps misunderstood since the time that Mercury went retrograde, which was July the 8th. So a retrograde period, we're kind of retracing our steps because we did miss something. And that's why the Mercury retrograde is always said to be redoing, relooking, etc. The week starts July 29th with the moon in Cancer, the same place Mercury is. And so we can expect, though, on that day, some bolts of lightning, a surprise, or actually I like to think of it as a wake-up call. But it might really be rather electrifying throughout this whole week, because Tuesday, the moon is still in Cancer, and this day has the resonance of a dark night of the soul, a one-day journey, a two-day perhaps journey, on this eve of the new moon, which is the darkest night of the year, of the month. So there might be that past ghost that shows up, letting you know where a fear has been inhibiting you. So it's actually really good news, right? And so this is also Tuesday, the day that the moon, once a month now, is opposing Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, those two big guys that are leading us to a new 500-year cycle. So we are looking at those shifts towards being a global village, and therefore we're looking at the resistance to that in ourselves or people that we know. And, I'm always watching those little synchronicities that pop up because they are, in fact, the way that the angels, that our spirit drops little stars on our path to let us know that we're going in the right direction. So I was writing about this big Saturn-Pluto new cycle, and I was writing about how it is, an internal alchemy for us, bringing gold from our life experience. So not gold as in money, but gold as in making conscious something that has been a blind spot or has blinded us to the truth of who we really are. And of course, who we really are messengers of light and love in this world. Now, a blind spot, so if you run into this ghost this week, please do not make it mean that there is something wrong with you. That is absolutely not the intention of all this energy. Rather, the synchronicity I saw when I was writing about this was a headline that said, "Take care of your own garbage." And it was referring to the problems we have now with getting rid of our recycling. So we started this great program, right? But we didn't really have a place to put it. We've been shipping ships of garbage all over the world. It's really kind of crazy. So all of that has come home now because other countries are refusing to take our garbage. And so we have to find a way to deal with it ourselves. Isn't that a beautiful kind of a metaphor there? So keep that in mind this week, that you want to be in the place where you are shifting your own personal values and the resources. We're having a new way to value and use the resources available to us. And that's in our personal lives as well as globally. And many, many people have been talking about the shift that we are in based on this new millennium of technology. So this week in the Apple Good News Stories, there was a lovely example how you bring this personally into your life. So there was this guy who had been bedridden for many years of his life. And one day he decided to use the computer, the internet, to design a surgery. He was not, by the way, a surgeon, to design a surgery to cure what ailed him. And it actually turned out to be successful. In astrology, Pluto is the energy of the surgeon, cutting deep and cutting out what is no longer useful. So psychic surgery is a great thing to do, and you cut out those places where you have judged yourself harshly and where you have told lies about your unworthiness or your unlovableness. Those are both not true. So notice what comes up for you on Tuesday and into Wednesday that is your own personal self-discovery, of discomfort, because those discomforts are what motivate us to change anything, right? Helping us out with this new moon, and therefore for the next 4 weeks, is Venus and Mars. And they are not only getting along beautifully together because they're both in the sign of Leo, but they are also sandwiching this new moon. So we have the goddess of love, we have the moon, which is your emotions, your empathy and compassion, the sun, which is your yang, let's get it done, and Mars, who is your warrior to fight the good fight. All four lined up together on Wednesday. There could not be a more open-hearted time to get off on a new foot in your relationships. This is a fabulous opportunity to put the past behind you through forgiveness, not through hiding anything, and be very openly honest, but not to demonstrate that you are right or to convince the other person of your point of view, but rather when we are openly honest with one another, we have the miracle occur in which we see two different ways to look at the problem, yours and the other person's, right? And the fact that there are two different ways to look at it tells you that it's only your selective perception that considers it to be a problem at all. What if it were true, and I think it is, that every problem you think you have has shown up in your life at the very same time with the solution to that problem, except that often we remove ourselves from the solution. In the new shift, the new paradigm, look what that means. That means any so-called problem can be solved just like that the second that you get it. I guarantee that this new 500-year cycle we're entering, and remember we get the big taste of that this week, Tuesday especially, is going to be about transcending the limitations we think we have because of time, including that there are no barriers in time to healing. I believe we're going to see all the myriad ways in which our personal perception is distorted, and that the only solution is the joining with another to look at it together. The first day of August, this Thursday, the moon will still be in Leo, and will be making a beautiful and very lucky harmony with joyful Jupiter. So this is your emotions, your empathy being very expansive, and your hunches being right on good for you. So follow those. Also a very active day because the moon will join Mars. Remember, the moon and Mars in Leo. So you can get a lot done, especially in the afternoon. Then Friday and Saturday, we have the moon in hardworking Virgo. And Friday has, for your relationships in particular, a shift, a surprise, because you're going to get a look at something that has become stale or dull, and it has to be blasted out of a rut. And then on Saturday, is a heavy day on Saturday, actually, but mostly encouraging things where the revelations that you saw of your blind spots earlier in this week, well, that's sort of an ongoing discovery, but on Saturday, they're going to make sense to you. You can really stop, have some time with yourself, please. Do something that pleasures you. and let it sink in. Maybe do a little journaling. And the moon goes into cooperative Libra on Sunday. And that is literally, again, a day of rest. There are no other astrological aspects that day. So play and take big, long lioness naps. I know that all you Leos out there are absolutely having the happiest birthdays for a long while because we have so many planets in fire signs. That also means, though, for you other fire signs, Aries and Sagittarius, this is a very creative and active month for you, the month of August. And remember, Mars and Venus, the zodiac lovers, are traveling together. They will be traveling together until the 20th of August. And please mark your calendars for fun, creativity, and romance, August 11th through the 17th. For those of you who are earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, this is the most transformative year, probably, of your life in quite a long time. However, we do still have the big guys out there in retrograde, especially Saturn and Pluto, also Jupiter. But that just means you're doing a lot of reorg, a lot of discovery and rebuilding of your life as your personal transformation, which we're all having. Yours, however, is much more of a complete metamorphosis. And for you air signs out there, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, we still don't have a planet in an air sign, but the fire is good for you. You can still be quite creative if you stay patient and stay away from rereading your best novels in your library. It's probably not going to be a great time for you to finish your thesis or to write your book until mid-September. It's not much easier for you water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, except that you are visionary and you do have the ability to, well, excel in something like photography because your mind is taking pictures. And life is really going to begin to flow for you beautifully after October the 3rd. And November is going to knock your socks off. No matter what the aspects are, I find it a place of great comfort and peace when I tune in to these rhythmic cycles of the moon and stars, because I can sense that no matter what chaos seems to be confronting me on the earth plane, I am part of an orderly universe. It orbits around me in repeating, measured cycles, and I can hear it humming stanza after stanza of a beautiful, familiar melody that has been dancing through all of the ages. So pause in peace and watch the stars on this dark of the moon this week, knowing all is well and everything that is happening is in your best interests, even if you can't see it now. Thanks for listening. I love you, and I'll see you next week.